Hi guys, so today I'm doing a video about my chinchilla. I don't often make videos about her, and it was requested the other day that I could please do a video about her, especially considering she's had to see the vet recently. And I figured, you know, if this helps a few people who own chinchillas and they're worried about their chinchilla's feet or their health, this might help. And also to those of you who are just watching because chinchillas are cute. Hopefully you'll enjoy this. One thing I will say though is if you are thinking of getting a chinchilla as a pet, from my personal experience of about 7 or 8 years now, I have to say they're a lot of work. Like whenever you have an exotic mammal, they're seriously a lot of work. Way more work than any of my lizards. Actually, all my lizards combined. Yeah, seriously. Anyway, I still love her, even though she is a lot of work. And the other day I got her out and I noticed that her ear was quite sore and her feet were sore. Now the ear wasn't too much of a concern because that can happen when you've gone from like a cold environment and then it's got warmer, and that just dries out the skin, especially around the ears, and it can become a little bit cracked. And although hers wasn't cracked and really messy or anything, it was just a little bit sore, and I put some baby oil on it. I later found out you can also use Sudocrem, and I tried that as well. And it's a week later and her ears do look a lot better. It looks like they've scabbed over and they've definitely healed a lot better. Anyway, the main concern was her feet. Now, especially with rodents, they can get a thing called Bumblefoot. Here's a picture, it's really gross, I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah, it can have Bumblefoot, which is just horrendous, and that's the last thing I wanted Ruby to have. And her feet basically look like this. This isn't my chinchilla, this isn't my picture, but this is the closest I could find of an example of what her feet look like. Now, online a lot of people said this isn't Bumblefoot, but her feet, you know, when I touched Ruby's feet, she did wince, and obviously they use these two powerful back legs to get around all the time, and I really didn't want her to be in pain walking around her cage, so I got her to a vet. And the vet was lovely. She tested a load of things with her as well, because when you pay 35 quid to see a vet and you go in, you're in there less than like 5 minutes and you just come out with some medicine and you don't really understand what's happening, you feel a little bit robbed. But I was in there, we were probably in there 5 or 10 minutes, and she fully explained everything and tested everything with Ruby, and it's fantastic. So one of my concerns was the fact that Lola, Ruby's sister, suddenly passed away, and I have read that chinchillas can suddenly have heart attacks. So she listened to her heart and she said that's absolutely perfect. She looked at her back teeth because Ruby doesn't eat her hay. She's very naughty. She should really eat her hay, but she doesn't. And she looked at her back teeth and she said, oh my god, they're actually perfect. They don't even have spurs or anything. Considering she doesn't chew any hay, they look great. She also weighed her. Now this was actually, I haven't weighed Ruby in ages, but one video I uploaded of Ruby a while back, someone just went, ooh, she's really fat. And I think, what kind of person sits there and just wants to like insult an animal? An animal who has no care for your opinion, but just the fact that you're just like that much, you just want to express that. Anyway, you'll be delighted to hear that she only weighs 525 grams, which is in the small spectrum of the average weight of a chinchilla, but is still perfectly fine. I have to say, even the vet was quite surprised, because I guess Ruby does come across looking quite big, but it's because she's broad and she has really long fur. For example, a clump of her fur came out, which is usual with chinchillas. They have so much and they have to shed it every now and again, and it was 6 centimeters long. Yeah, that's how big she looks. So yeah. Anyway, she tested everything like that and it was perfectly fine. She looked at her foot and said, you know what, you're right to come in now, because obviously you don't want this to turn into Bumblefoot, so we can treat it now. Because with Bumblefoot, like, you can sometimes have to have like x-rays and then operations. Some like animals actually lose their feet to Bumblefoot. So yeah, we nipped it in the bud there. So the first thing she gave me was a thing called Baytril, and apparently most rodents don't like the taste. I don't know what it tastes like, but they don't like it. And Ruby is exactly the same. She pretty much spat it out on the first day, but the vet did say like you can mix it with some fruit juice and they will probably take it down a lot better. So I put a drop of Ribena in with the medicine and she takes it every single time. She's totally fine with it. The other thing is a thing called Metacam, or sometimes known as Meloxicam. It's usually used for dogs, but it can be used for chinchillas, and she has a little bit of that, and it apparently tastes like honey. She's never had a problem with that, so she just takes that down as well. Now, these are an antibiotic and an anti-inflammatory. Please consult your vet before using them, because the dosage has to be done on their weight and everything, and you don't want to overdose your animal or underdose and waste your money. Like, you might be able to buy this online, but please just take your animal to a vet first. One thing you can buy though, and apparently you can find this in like your ordinary pharmacies, is something called Hibiscrub. You basically dilute it with water. You can use it on yourself, any of your animals, even on your lizards or rodents or anything, basically for any external wounds or sores or anything, just to keep them clean. So this is what I rub on her feet twice a day, and just keeps the area clean. Now, the vet did say that the feet were meant to go down to her original size, and so far she's been on the medicines for a week. They may be down a little bit, but they don't look like her original feet. She still has some like black, like swollen around her feet. However, when I first touched her feet, she like winced on the first day before we saw the vet. And so she doesn't do that now, so that's a good sign. And she's still jumping around her cage like normal, so obviously there's not too much pain. One thing I did make a change to in terms of her cage is I put some upholstery foam, sewed some fleece cover and put it around it, and attached it to the cage and the ledge so it doesn't slip. And I did that to 2 ledges in her cage, so that will take away some of the impact every time she jumps around. She seems to be getting on fine with them. She doesn't now have to go right down to the bottom of her cage for her food. That is found on one of the ledges with the foam on, so that's a lot better for her. But this is why you should, like, even though I've always had wooden ledges in there, which are totally fine, but you can add fleece in that to just soften the jump. But this is why you always should have ledges in chinchilla cages, because some people, I know someone, actually I didn't know them personally, but I knew them for a friend. They had a chinchilla and they got so annoyed with the sound of the chinchilla jumping around the cage that they took out all the ledges. And I said straight away, like, that chinchilla is going to get Bumblefoot. If it can't jump up high and jump on different ledges and be away from a wire mesh floor, it's going to get Bumblefoot. Like, that's just one thing you should know before getting a chinchilla, is they love to jump and they make a lot of noise at night. So if you can't handle that, don't get a chinchilla. But anyway, so Ruby seems a lot better in herself. As you can see, she's jumping around. Anyway, this has been a ramblings of a mad woman, but I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye. Okay. She's okay once she got the medicine.